Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Doc Lil Talks Comics, and it's time for my weekly comic book pickup haul for this week. But first, I wanted to show you something that Eric, one of the guys that works in a comic shop, he gifted it to me. And it's a pack of mini wacky wobblers from Walking Dead. And it's a bobblehead 4-pack with Rick Grimes, Daryl Dixon, Michonne, and R.V. Walker. R.V. Walker. It was supposed to be it was from Funko, and let's see, I thought it was part of a little game or something that he said, but instead it looks like it's just a 4-pack. But how cool is that, man? I'm a huge Walking Dead fan even to this day, and this 4-pack is gonna go absolutely great in my room. So thanks again, Eric. I appreciate that. Thanks for thinking about me. Okay, now with that out of the way, we can get into this week's books. And we don't have as many books as I thought I was going to pick up. A couple of them got delayed, but we have this week's top pick, which is The Sacrificers, issue number 19. And I don't remember off the top of my head if this is a snafu or not, but it says part 4 of 6 of It Will Always Be the Same. I thought issue 20 was going to be the final issue, but maybe they're going to go to 21. So you have Rick Remender and Andre Lima Arahu with Dave McCaig. And you get to see what Pigeon and Saluna have wrought. And it's from their good that they wish to do has come terrible, terrible loss for the people of this world. Oh. Just like that. Don't drop your books, kids, because then they get damaged and they get hurt. They get hurt feelings. But you have Beatrice here, who is Pigeon's sister. And she feels like she's partly to blame for all of this, because she didn't put up more of a fight against what her brother and Saluna were doing. She went along with it. She cried tears over him, I think about 3 issues ago, as she thought he had fallen in the fight with the Mad King. But here she realizes, she says, you promised an end to cruelty in a better world, and I believed you. But no answers came. The suffering never ceased. Now you withhold your light, perhaps as punishment. If you hope to bring us to heal, you have wrought something very, very different. So she comes and says, you're right, I failed you. I failed you as a priestess. I have failed you as a leader. I have failed you because I put my faith in someone who let you down just as much as they failed me. This book has got so much heart, guys. So much heart. Because Pigeon only wanted to do the right thing. That's all he wanted to ever do. He wanted to depose the gods. He didn't want to take their place. He just wanted to bring about natural rain, natural sun. Things that didn't rely upon the whims of gods. He wanted a natural world. And his wife is ill. The doctors are telling him that she can't be saved. Everything's spiraling out of control, and all he ever wanted to do was help people. Sometimes things hit too close to home. A lot of times I just want to help my patients. I want to help people that I see that are broken. And this book, like I said, sometimes it just emotionally hits a little too close to home. To see Pigeon spiraling and falling when his intentions were always pure. His intentions were always to do what was right and what needed to be done to give these people their independence back. And further through here, the doctor says, you should wake your sons, should they want any final words with their mother. And Pigeon says, that won't be necessary because I mean to cure her. And the doctor says, as hard as it is, you must accept reality. Soon she will let go. And Pigeon sits next to her and says that you held this entire world together for so long, my darling. You fought so hard. Fight just a little longer. I will save you. On our sons' lives, I swear it. The cloud cedar works. We will return Harlos. Regrow her green fields with clean rain and without demanding any sacrifice of mortal or god. Losel and Soul will not become their ancestors. They will never be chained to the servitude that you suffered these many years. We have changed the world for the better, and by tomorrow they will all see it. You must hold on a little longer, my love. You can't leave me to raise our beautiful children without your light. You can see that his love for her is pure. It's true. It's real. And it hurts to see him losing her. He's lost everything else. His family, the respect of everyone that he ever knew. But to lose her would be too much. These guys have presented a masterclass in world building, world destruction, and now in characterization of loss and pain. If you guys weren't reading this, pick up the trades, and when the last trade hits, do yourself a favor and read this whole thing. You won't be disappointed. Next up, on a little bit more lighthearted, we have The Walking Dead Deluxe issue 132, and this is by Robert Kirkman with pencils by Charlie Adlard, inks by Stefano Gaudino, and colors by Dave McCaig. And you get to see sunset, this time in beautiful color. And Rick and Maggie are thinking back about the things that have happened to them. And eventually Carl and Sophia show up, and Carl says, we're just watching the sunset. This is boring. And Rick says, yeah, isn't this great? And Carl says, totally. So even though he was giving his old man a hard time about just sitting there watching the sunset, it was really, really beautiful. Meanwhile, we have Dante and his crew, and they are surrounded by walkers, and they're trying to get free. They're trying to get out of there because they were trapped in a barn. And in the end, you get to see one of the guys, he says, they have knives, they're attacking us. And in the end, he says, I heard you talk. I know you can talk. And then in whispered tones, this character says, we whisper and the dead don't mind. You'll see. You'll soon be dead yourself. Then you'll see. And these two go at it. Dante and this unnamed whisperer go at it. And in the end, he kills the whisperer. And then he sees right here something's going on with this zombie. It wasn't a zombie. Now, I'm not going to tell you much more about the whisperers, but this book is getting better again. We just came off of a time jump where we had Magna and her crew, and now we are building up to the Whisperer War. And that was an absolute amazing story in this overall arc for The Walking Dead. So I hope you guys read this. If you didn't, you don't know what you're missing. All right. The Nice House by the Sea by James Tynion IV and Alvaro Martinez Bueno and Jordi Belair. And again, you get this awesome, almost watercolor painted artwork by Buena. And you see again that two of these houses have come together and come to understand that there's something bigger going on. Meanwhile, you have the overlords who are controlling all of the houses, and they're trying to bring about destruction. They're trying to bring about the end of the world, whereas Walter and his crew created a end of the world. They're trying to kill off the ones that could bring it back. It says, "Computer, let's have a nice little chat." "Yes, it's nice to talk." "Give me the present diagnosis of our biosphere." "Atmosphere critical, intervention necessary, biome is losing oxygen at an unsustainable rate." "How long do they have?" "At this depletion rate, the air will be unbreathable for house guests within 20 hours. He says, "Well, let's see if we can speed things up a bit." Then you get this front page that has been in every issue, and it is a nice house by the sea. It truly is. And more backstory of Walter. It's one of those meta stories. I can't really describe what's going on because it moves sort of at a snail's pace. I was thinking about it today, and to be honest, I've enjoyed World Tree when it first started, and I think I'm going to drop that book because it's taken forever to get where it's going. I've enjoyed it in the beginning when it was very strong, and now that it's dropped off and it's just kind of moving at molasses pace. I can't afford to have too many of those books that I'm reading at the same time, because those books, unlike Amazing Spider-Man or Walking Dead or something like that, they don't get to the point quickly enough. And this is a great book, and it's only got issue 9, 10, 11, and 12 to go. But if there ends up being a third volume inevitably, I don't know that I'll be back for Nice House on the blank, whatever it ends up being. It's been a good read, but it's one of those that you really need to sit down and probably read it in trade, in one of those big, thick 12-issue trades, and that's probably the best way that you'll understand everything that's going on. So, not that I'm hating on this book, but I'm about ready for it to be wrapped up. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring, issue 6 by Patrick Horvath. And you have this really awesome Dr. Seuss-esque cover. And I really, really like all the different covers that they've had for these books, because it gives you something different to look at. And again, you get this almost watercolor type of artwork from Patrick Horvath. And it's Samantha and the lady, and she says, I'm about to take off. And she says, "You're not going to get very far. Everybody knows about you." And the problem is, Samantha set a bunch of incendiary devices, and so pretty much the whole town is about to go up in flames. And it's going to be one after another. Even, at the beginning of this, then an explosion, and over the radio it says, "Engine number 1, we've got another reported fire." And it says, "Dispatch, that's too many for us. You've got to call in stations from around the rest of the county." And then it says, "Roger, it's your fire station that's on fire." Meanwhile, we have fires popping up in hospitals. We have fires popping up in different, tree houses, everywhere. She has set the whole town to burn because she's not going to get caught. She's just not. And so here comes one of her friends, and she's like, "Sam," and then she hears a scream, and she says, your store's on fire." And Sam says, "Can you help me with it?" And she says, "Wait a minute, is that somebody in there?" And she said, "Yeah, it is." And then she killed her and took her car. So things have progressed, and they're moving quickly. She manages to get out. People help one another in this story to try to save as many people as they can, and it's got heart. It's just and it finishes perfectly, in my opinion, to set up for a third volume. And if that's the case, I cannot wait. I can't wait to see how this continues. But between the artwork, the writing, the overall story, it's still very punchy. It still has a lot of power and premise behind it. It's not that I'm tired of it. I want more. So, Patrick, get to working on volume 3. All right. And the last book we're really going to talk about tonight is Amazing Spider-Man number 23, which is Death Spiral Part 2 of 9. I'm going to jump in, folks. I'm going to read Venom next week, and that's the first issue of Venom I've read probably since one of the mini-series back in the 1990s. But I'm going to try to continue this whole thing and follow it all the way through all 9 chapters. So let's see how long this lasts. But you have here Joe Kelly. Let's see. Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness. Mark Farmer's the inker. And you get Spidey and Venom with Venom's new gold color. And Peter, once again, has another heart-to-heart with Aunt May. And Aunt May says, you know, it hurts to think that you didn't speak to me all this time. But then she said, I've come to realize that you must have been going through something extremely traumatic if you didn't have anything to say to me of all people. You had to put yourself so far into your turtle shell that you couldn't surface, not even talk to me. And so she says, I'm not asking you to tell me what happened, not today. But I do need to know one thing. And it says, just tell me whether this is over or not. And of course, when you see Venom and Lady Octopus here in the back of the window behind May, so of course not, it's not finished. Of course not. That'd be too much like Ray. So I don't like Mary Jane's Venom, because I like the Venom from when Eddie Brock first got a hold of him, and he had the jokes, and he had that dark sense of humor, you know, and he kept talking about eating brains and things like that. That's the Venom that I'm used to. Not the movie Venom, more the animated series Venom, or the 1990s Venom. Meanwhile, Venom and Spidey go after Lady Octopus and got attacked by Herman Schultz, the Shocker. And he's even learned a new trick where Spider-Man tried to thwip his way out of it. And he said that he's built a sonic shield so that Spidey's webs can't get through. And the only thing that was able to get through was Venom was able to come up from underneath and kind of sucker punch him, just uppercut him and knock him out. And here we have one of the spoilery pages is that Mary Jane reveals herself to Peter as Venom. And he's like, wait, where Mary Jane Watson is Venom? And he's like, what happened? Where's Eddie? So they sit down and they talk about it. Meanwhile, Eddie and Carnage are going back and forth, and Carnage knows that Peter, based on the first issue, part of this, knows that Peter is Spider-Man. Meanwhile, we get to see the Shocker have something shocking, pun intended, done to him. And then Peter and Mary Jane finally have a heart-to-heart. And he finally says, when I was gone, Eddie Brock tried to contact me. He left a message. And Mary Jane says, why did a chill just run down my spine? And Venom says, what was the message? And meanwhile, something has happened to Herman Schultz that I won't go into detail. But needless to say, I'm not real sure that Peter's going to have to deal with a Shocker anytime soon. Really good book. Really good, solid second part to this. I'm waiting to see if I'm still enthralled and engaged by the third part. But hopefully this 9-parter won't go on forever and ever and ever. And we'll be able to wrap this up. I want to know who Tormund is. I need to know. This is one of those few times in years that I've gotten excited about a Spider-Man book, and I just have to know how this is going to end. So hopefully Al Ewing can knock it out of the park next week with Venom, and then we'll continue on. All right, and I've got another book that I'm going to talk about on initial assessment here in another video, and it is Nectar, issue number 1. This is from Vault Comics, and it says the 19th century, an island village off Salem, Massachusetts, is inundated by a strange species of butterflies that spread the dancing plague and have a very particular taste in nectar, human blood. So I have read this, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys about it in the next video. So I hope that you guys tune in for this. Is this going to be the next White Sky? Is it going to be the next Dork? I don't know, but I know that it started off extremely strong. And this book was done by, let's see, who do we have here? This was done by Jeremy Robinson as writer. And then the artists were Francesco Francini and Anna Paula Martello. So that's all I'm going to tell you about this one right now. But that, my friends, is everything for this video. Hope you've enjoyed this weekly pickup like you do all of the other ones. Let me know what you guys picked up at the shop. Did you get everything in? There was a couple of books, like I was looking forward to the Comics the Magazine, issue number 1. Wizard it is not, because I saw that it's only like 60 pages or something like that. But I'm going to give it a first shot, first 2 issues or so, and see how that goes. But that's been pushed back to the 11th. And like I said, there were 2 or 3 other books. Maybe Spawn was pushed back, Rook Exodus, and a couple of other books that the shop didn't get in this week. But anyway, guys, let me know what you picked up and what you're reading, what you're loving, and I will catch you next time.